Welcome, everybody, to the Palm Springs Unified School District regular meeting of the Board of Education. Today is Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. I will now call the meeting to order, and we will begin with a roll call, please.
Board Member Espericueta.
Here.
Board Member Cornet. Here. Board Clerk Jarrell. Here. Board President Girardi.
Here.
And Board Member Wood is absent tonight.
Thank you. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? It will be led by our Board Clerk, Madonna Jarrell. And would you please remain standing afterwards for a moment of silence?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. We'd like to have a moment of silence for Rebecca Castillo and Mina Marianoff. Rebecca Castillo worked for Palm Springs Unified School District as an office technician at Vista Del Monte Elementary School from October 27, 2005 until January 31st, 2022. Mina Marianoff worked for Palm Springs Unified School District as a teacher from 1964 to 1981 at Agua Caliente Elementary School, and from 1981 to 1983 at Rancho Mirage Elementary School. After retiring from the district, Mina served as a member of the Board of Education from 1983 to 1992. Thank you. Please be seated. Next up, we'll have a reading of our mission statement by member Karen Cornett.
All members of Palm Springs Unified School District are united in our commitment to equity. We create deep, meaningful learning opportunities, build professionalism, and engage parents and community to ensure success for all students. All students graduate with the skills, capacity, and confidence needed to succeed in a rapidly changing world.
Thank you very much, Karen. Item 7 is report of closed session items. Clerk Jarrell, are there any closed session actions to report this evening?
Girardi, there are no closed session items to report.
Okay. Thank you very much. Item 8 is approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? And I would like to recommend that we pull items, items 13E, 13F, and 13G until we have a full board.
Move for approval with that amendment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you all very much. Sorry, I lost my place. Next item is public comments. Let's see, Clerk Jarrell, have we received any email comments this evening?
President Girardi, yes, we've received 2 electronic comments that have been distributed and reviewed by the Board of Education.
Okay, thank you very much. And next is in-person comments. All oral comments are to be directed to the board, be under 3 minutes, and shall be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during public comments. Please remember, board members do not respond during public comments. And I do have one public comment request, and that's from Randy Avila. Come on up.
Waklisis. That means greetings in my native language. I'm an enrolled member from the Klamath Modoc tribe. My name is Randy Avila. I am from the Klamath Modoc tribe. I am the president of the NAPAC for Palm Springs Unified. I would like to request the school district to start doing land acknowledgements before major events and social gatherings. This small token helps the healing process and makes reference to the accomplishments, sacrifices, and existence of our American Indian people. This gesture is the way for non-Native people to gain understanding of the people who have been the historical protectors and keepers of the land, and helps helps to demonstrate and desire to build bridges with the historical disenfranchisement communities. I would like to offer help to build a committee with the acknowledgement and expertise to craft such a land acknowledgement. Bringing attention to September 23rd, California Indian Day. I'm requesting excused absences for all Native and non-Native students wishing to participate and take part in this day. It should be done with the district's works towards extending the day off for all the school districts in their districts in ceremonial this importance to a day in recognition of Native people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Avila. All right, I have no other speaker comments. Is anybody interested in addressing the board this evening? Okay. Man, this got awfully loud. Next up would be board member comments. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share this evening?
Yeah, go ahead. I'd just like to say thank you for coming and letting the board know your thoughts. We always appreciate having parents and the community come in and give their thoughts on things. Secondly, I also would like to say something about Minna Marinoff. I was a longtime friend and colleague of her. She was a wonderful administrator and wonderful board member. So her passing is sad, and we've lost somebody that was really, truly a great lady. And some of the other people in our district I know have known her, and she truly was one of the most outstanding educators I've ever met. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Sergio?
Thank you, President Gerald. Thank you, the public, for the whole comments. I want to start my report, my site visit that I have in August 30 with President Girardi and Madonna already. We visit the Dela Lisley Elementary School and the Rio Vista Elementary School. And was a very good experience to interact with the administrator, with teachers and the students. And also in August 31st, I spent time in the Cathedral City High School, back to school, visiting that night with family members. And I had good experience. It was, I have the conversation with the special education teacher and the PE special education teacher too. Also in September 6th, I attend the legislative water workshop in the Coachella Valley. Was in the college at the desert. That was one general invitation for the whole Coachella Valley, and was good information getting from the state level representative related to the future of the water in Coachella Valley and in the whole state. We know that we have a water crisis, but it's good to have the all information related to that to do better work as person, as human. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sergio. Madonna?
At our past board meeting, I failed to mention this very important training that's been going on in our district and has saved potential lives for our students, and that's our Narcan training. According to the district, we've been doing ongoing Narcan training for helping to save lives from fentanyl overdose. And I really commend this district for hearing my voice at the beginning of the new year after a dear friend lost his life to an overdose. So on behalf of the parents and all of our community and helping us be health aware, I appreciate all the active programs that the district has actually arranged to help this cause. Also, in our district, we do have open door and open email communication to all of our members. And I'm seeing that people are emailing us, people are interested in communicating with us, and people feel safe to contact any of the school board members and our administrators and school site administrators with concerns or ideas or innovative I think thinking that they are interested in seeing the district grow because our belief statement is lifelong learning starts here. And so I appreciate that our doors and our district is an open door district that welcomes communication. So that's really important. And as a board member, one of our jobs is to provide support for you and every one of our district personnel, staff, and students. As you know, some of you know that I'm an elected official 2 times, and I'm a CSBA delegate. And this will be my 4th year working as an elected official with 280 other officials across the state. There are 5,000 board members in the state of California, and I'm on a special committee or in a special organization where we actually adopt platforms, vote. We get together twice a year. We provide 2-way communication. My fellow board members and staff are always hearing about what's happening in other districts. They're hearing from our state director and CSBA. I'm sending PowerPoints and information ongoing as an elected delegate. We're in Region 18, and in our region, we work with 21 geographic regions across the state. So I get the opportunity to bring in a lot of great ideas, happenings in the state by attending and being involved as an elected official. So I feel I guess, blessed and so honored to be able to be a delegate and work in association with state members of our 5,000 member organization. And I tell you that because I feel like sometimes I'm always sending things to our board and to our leadership, and I really feel it is my duty to communicate what's happening and pass along ideas. Let's see. As we went to schools on August 31st, it was just delightful to see hallways decorated and adorned with writing, student artwork. It was just wonderful to see students with anthologies open, selections, reading, pair sharing, engaging in activities, active writing. It makes me think that we're moving back to where we used to be a few years back. And so for us as a board and myself, it was a great day for us to go back and be in person in schools. One person in our community wrote, "Oh, well, why don't you come to my school?" And I want everyone to know that we have a list of schools, and equitably we go through the list, and we as a board do twice a year. We do visits to certain schools, and we try to coordinate dates. It's still difficult sometimes. Also, as a board member, we are divided now evenly so that we can go out to school sites on Saturdays after school. We try not to interrupt instruction, but we do, as school board members, also try to attend events, especially at night or on the weekends as well. And let's see. Oh, today on the way down Valley, I saw a Schools First van, and their equipment is just beautiful, and I want to thank Schools First, our transportation company. The equipment was a state of the art, and for going with the changes that we have made to late starts, the company has had to do a lot of switching, I'm sure, of routes, timing, personnel, and I just want to thank them. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Madonna. First of all, Mr. Avila, thank you for coming in and sharing your perspective with us. I think this district works really hard to honor the traditions of all our students and their backgrounds, their native backgrounds. And so, you know, you coming in and acknowledging Land Acknowledgement and Native American Day, you gave me, and I think others up here, some food for thought, and I appreciate that. I just want to echo what Madonna and Sergio said. We got back into classrooms this last month. Great experience. You know, obviously, we've experienced some learning loss in our schools due to COVID, but what we saw that other day, I think we're off to a very, very great start, and I really appreciate what everybody's doing out there. We did have two email comments come in, and I think Dr. Sweezy is going to address one, so I'll turn it over to him for a superintendent comment.
Great, thank you, President Girardi. So I will start with the update related to one of our public comments, something that people have come and spoken about at our board meetings previously. Just today, after 3 o'clock this afternoon, in fact, we received notice that Governor Newsom was going to lift the public health order for teachers to be vaccinated or have regular testing. So that's something that many people in the state have been waiting for, and I know that we have some staff members here in the district who will be very happy to hear that news. The rescinding of the public health order goes into effect September 17th. So that's the end of this weekend. And we've been following that order very diligently, as we do in Palm Springs, since it was first put in place, in August of 2021. So now staff members that are not vaccinated will no longer have to undergo the weekly COVID-19 testing that was previously mandated. So one of our comments tonight was from a district teacher asking when the district was going to get in alignment with the CDC's latest recommendations. That's not something that the district gets to decide on its own, but I'm happy to report that the entire state, because of the governor lifting that, rescinding that public health order, that vaccination or test mandate will no longer be in place as of September 17th. I do still want to urge everyone to take care of themselves and to follow all of the health protocols that we have in place here in Palm Springs. As President Girardi said, we know that school closures were very difficult for students, for their families, and for our staff members. And so we want to do everything in our power to not have to go back into school closure. And one of the things that we can do is continue to follow all of those public health mandates and take care of ourselves and follow all of those good precautions that we've been teaching our students over the last 18 months. The good news is the current COVID-19 rate in Riverside County continues to decrease. So decreased at the last board meeting to 23.5 out of 100,000, and it is now at 15.8 cases per 100,000. And the positivity rate is at 7.8. So those numbers are definitely headed in the right direction. So that's good news. I also want to thank Mr. Avila for coming this evening. I know he, along with one of our teachers and district staff members, have been very instrumental in creating our very first Native American Parent Advisory Council, and congratulations on being the president of that council. And we will definitely take your comments very seriously, and I know Dr. Kovach and her team will reach out to you. I also want to just say we have a special guest tonight taking some pictures, and that is the amazing Lonnie Garfield. So she's been here taking pictures, so don't let that disturb you or bother or distract you. She'll just be with us for a short time this evening. We are off to a great start, as everyone else has said. In addition to the board visits, which were wonderful, it was so great to be back with the board members in schools, with students and with teachers. Dr. Kovach and I have started this week our goal to visit every classroom, not every classroom, every school in the district over the next 7 days. So we started on Monday. We're doing about 4 school visits per day and having a wonderful time. So I look forward to reporting back to all of you about so many of the great things that we get to see during that period. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, President Girardi.
Thank you, Dr. Sweezy. That brings us up to item number 12, which is a public hearing of textbooks and instructional material compliance for the fiscal year 2022-2023, which is OE 10. The board now opens the public hearing on the textbooks and instructional materials compliance for fiscal year 2022-2023 as required by Government Code Section 60119 et al. Have we received any written comments on the textbook instructional compliance for fiscal year 2022-2023? No?
We have not.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone present who wishes to provide oral comments on our textbook adoptions? Seeing none, later in the agenda, the board will consider approving the adoption of resolution number 2022/2023-12, public textbook and instructional material compliance for fiscal year 2022-2023, OE 10. I declare the public hearing closed. Item 13 is board action items. 13A, approval of the unaudited actuals for fiscal year 2021-2022, OE 6, and Dr. Murray will be presenting this.
All right, good evening. Before I get started, and first off, I'd like to again thank Peter Van Buskirk, who's in the audience tonight, and his team in Fiscal Services for creating the state SACS report that you received a copy of in your Friday board communication. As always, Peter and his team do a great job, and I appreciate their work very much, so thank you, Peter. All right. So tonight, as you can see, we're asking that you approve resolution number 2223-10, the unaudited actuals for the previous fiscal year. In previous years, we embedded the GAN limit resolution into this presentation. Last year, we separated out the GAN limit resolution from the unaudited actuals presentation, and you approved our GAN limit pro forma calculation separately, and we're going to do that again tonight. So tonight, the GAN limit resolution is resolution number 2223-11, and that's item 13B. On tonight's agenda, adoption of resolution 2223-10, adoption of appropriations due to reconciliation of the estimated actuals to the unaudited actuals. Ending fund balances for fiscal year 21-22 will include data reflected in the first interim report that will be presented to you in December. So as you can see here on slide 3, the unaudited actuals essentially turns our best estimates of the financial picture in 21-22 into a current reality. Another way to look at tonight's presentation is that this presentation really boils down to one thing, and that's comparing what we spent to what we had budgeted to spend last year. As a reminder to the board, we operate on a fund accounting system. All the funds listed on this page are summarized in this SACS report and in this presentation. A reminder to the board that the first fund listed, O1, is a combination of two funds, Fundo 3, which is our unrestricted general fund, and Fundo 6, which is our restricted general fund. All of these calculations listed on here on slide 5 are also included in the SACS report that I've shared with you. Okay, the first fund Fundo 3 is our unrestricted general fund. And you can see that from our estimate in June to our final accounting in August, the ending fund balance increased over $19.5 million. This is due to the impact of the pandemic on our district and our programs. This is the fund we primarily use to determine adjustments to employee compensation, since about 66% of all of our employees are paid from this fund. Our restricted general fund, or Fundo 6, increased about $5.4 million from our estimates in June. And you can see from this slide what's listed on the page, the myriad of programs that Fundo 6 is used to support. The next slide, slide 8, our Student Activity Special Revenue Fund, or Fund 08, was a brand new governmental fund last year to this report. And after closing the books on all ASB and USB funds, a balance of almost $1.8 million will carry over to this year. Fundo 9 is our charter school fund. You can see that CVC spent almost $877,000 less than what they had estimated to spend, or what we had estimated with them to spend in June. The difference in carryover of fund balance is due to the 4,000s and 5,000s, which are materials and supplies as well as contracts that were accurately accounted for at closing compared to the estimated actuals. For Fund 11, our adult education fund, the same condition exists there. Our Fund 12, which is the Child Development Fund, ending fund balance increased only slightly from our June estimates. Our Nutrition Services Fund, or Fund 13, ending fund balance increased almost $515,000 from our projection in June, which is actually one of the closest projections we've had for nutrition services in quite some time. For Fund 17 is our Special Reserve Fund for non-capital projects, and that reflects an increase of about $522,000. Our Fund 21 is our capital funds, or one of our capital funds. It increased about $146,000 from our estimate in June, and remember, these are funds that were voter approved and have been drawn down, or in other words, we've sold bonds related to what we've been authorized to sell to create funds in this fund. Julie and her facilities and planning team coordinate with you as you know how to use these funds. Fund 25 is another capital projects fund. At closing, it came in about $1.6 million higher than we estimated in June. And this increase almost entirely reflects funds encumbered for projects, but were not spent by the time we had to cut it off the deadline in June. And Fund 35 is another capital projects fund. The next fund is Fund 40. It's our special projects, or special reserve for capital projects, and again, another capital projects fund. It ended about $3.3 million more than we estimated in June. As you can see from the description, we acquire funds through city redevelopment, reimbursements, and energy conservation programs, and the funds are primarily spent on capital improvement projects, facilities lease payments, classroom furniture upgrades, and energy conservation programs. Our Fund 51 is the Bond Interest and Redemption Fund, and that ended at about $19.8 million more from our June estimate. As you can see from the description, the money comes in from property taxes and is managed through RCOE to repay bond obligations. And then the last fund listed here is Fund 67, and in the SACS report, it actually includes Funds 67, 68, and 69. And these funds ended about $2.4 million higher than June estimates due to better accrual of workers' compensation runout claims and property and liability expenses that were less than what was projected by our advisor, which is Keenan. So if we were to go back to Fundo 3, it's important to look at Fundo 3 a little more closely because this is really the main fund for all things truly discretionary in our district. As I shared with you earlier, from that 19.5 million figure from August comes several things: school site carryover, program carryover, LCAP fund balance and carryover, and of course, most importantly to me, the 3% minimum statutory reserve that we have to maintain our positive certification. With any carryover, we need to remember they're one-time funds. We need to treat them as such. So if we take a closer look at Fundo 3, our unrestricted general fund revenues were 1.4 million lower than our June estimate, totaling $275,810,033. Expenditures, especially in the 4,000 object code, which are materials and supplies, were 20,838,851, less than our June estimates. Looking only at our 21-22 expenditures versus revenues, you can see we ended with 38,511,048 to the positive. Other sources ended at 7,159,616. Other uses ended at 22,836,71. Revolving cash and stores ended at 355,045. And then the 3% reserve I mentioned previously ended at 11,058,938. Our assigned other ended at 5.2 million. Our supplemental and concentration balance ended at 18.776 million. And lastly, you can see that due to our improvements 1 year after the brunt of the pandemic, we ended with an excess balance in the unrestricted general fund of almost $2.75 million. And again, with any estimates that fall out of budgets, we have to remember they are one-time funds. We need to treat them as such. Now, with respect to the carryover and money that fell out of the 21-22 budget, remember that for the first time, what Pete and his team will do is they will actually add those figures to the first interim report that's going to be presented to you in December. So that'll be the first time we actually combine what's left from last year's budget to this year's budget. And that'll, again, be reflected in the first interim report. So with that, again, if we were to go back to page 2 that I asked, or that I shared with you, I'm asking that you approve item 13B. 13A is the presentation. 13B, unaudited actuals for fiscal year 21-22. The resolution accompanying that item, 22-23-10. The adoption of appropriations due to the reconciliation of the fund estimated actuals and the unaudited actuals ending fund balances for fiscal year 21-22. And with that, are there any questions I can answer for you or look to Pete to answer for you?
Somebody should have a question for Pete.
That's right. The opportunity to ask Peter questions is quickly waning.
Any comments, questions? No? Times are good financially.
Okay, yep, they sure are.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Murray.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, can we get a motion to approve 12A, public hearing, oh, no, I'm sorry. To approve 13A, approval of unaudited actuals for fiscal year 2021-2022, OE6.
Move for approval?
We have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sir Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. 13B, can we get a motion to approve adoption of resolution number 2022-2023-10, adoption of appropriations due to the reconciliation of estimated actuals to the unaudited actuals ending fund balances for fiscal year 2021-2022 OE6.
Move for approval?
We have a motion. How about a second?
Second?
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. 13C, adoption of resolution number 2022-2023-11, adoption of the GAN limit. May we get a motion for that item?
And move for approval.
How about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. Item 13D, adoption of resolution number 2022-2023-12, public textbook and instructional materials compliance for the fiscal year 2022-2023, OE 10. May I get a motion to approve 13D?
Move for approval.
How about a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. 13H, approval of, oh, no, we pulled that, right? Yeah, we pulled E through H, I believe. Oh, I'm
E, F,
sorry,
G.
we kept H. 13H, approval of revisions to Board Policy 6158, Independent Study, OE 10. Can we get a motion to approve item 13H?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments, you guys? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. 13I, approval of authorized signatures, OE 6. May we get a motion to approve that item?
Move
Mo-
for approval.
Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. 13J, approval of rejection of claim number 2022-2023-01, John Doe versus PSUSD 61006, OE 7. May I get a motion to approve item 13J?
And move for approval.
We have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. 13K, approval of proclamation of Attendance Awareness Month, September 22nd, OE 10. Can we get a motion for that, please?
Move for approval.
And how about a second?
Second.
And then
I get
Member
to read.
Jarrell is going to read the proclamation.
Okay. Palm Springs Unified School District Attendance Awareness Month, September 2022. Whereas good attendance is essential to student achievement and graduation, and we are committed to dedicating our resources and attention to reducing chronic absenteeism rates with a focus starting as early as preschool and kindergarten, and whereas chronic absence missing 10% or more of a school day for any or a school year for any reason is a proven predictor of academic trouble and dropout rates, whereas improving attendance and reducing chronic absence takes commitment, collaboration, and tailored approaches to unique challenges and strengths in each community, and whereas chronic absence predicts lower third grade reading proficiency, course failure, and eventual dropout. It weakens our communities and our local economy. And whereas attendance gaps among groups of students often turn into achievement gaps that undermine student success. Chronic absence particularly exacerbates the achievement gap that separates students in low-income communities from their peers, since students from low-income communities are both more likely to be chronically absent and more likely to be affected academically by missing school. Whereas schools and community partners can reach out more frequently to absent students to determine why they are missing school and what we would help them attend more regularly. And whereas chronic absence can be significantly reduced when schools, parents, and communities work together to monitor and promote good attendance and address hurdles that keep children from getting to school. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on this day, September 13, 2022, the Governing Board of Palm Springs Unified School District proclaims this month of September as Attendance Awareness Month, passed and adopted by the Governing Board of the Palm Springs Unified School District this 13th day of September 2022.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes.
I just wanted to say something that Lisa Toff from Student Services wrote a really excellent article in the Desert Sun about school attendance.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you very much, Karen.
One more thing, I think I saw something on Facebook too, celebrating Attendance Awareness Month, and thank you for sending that out to parents and caught my attention. It was bright, and I think it was perfect timing, and if we send it monthly, we could see some, we can, you have a lot, I'm sure, ready for the rest of the year. But thank you for reaching out to social media as well. Thanks, John.
Thank you. Item 13I is approval of proclamation of National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, September 2022. May we get a motion to approve this item?
Move for approval?
How about a second?
second?
Okay, I think I'll read this one. Whereas the month of September, when millions of people around the world join their voices to share a message of hope and healing, and whereas these observances are united in raising awareness that prevention is possible, treatment is effective, and people do recover. And whereas in these challenging times, messages of hope and healing are more needed than ever. And whereas Riverside County residents should be able to access high-quality prevention, support, rehabilitation, and treatment services that lead to recovery and a healthy lifestyle. And whereas every day people enter treatment into behavioral health services and community supports and begin the road to wellness and recovery. And whereas resiliency begins early in life within families, daycares, and schools, and can be strengthened and reinforced throughout the lifespan. And whereas recovery and wellness encompass the whole individual, including mind, body, and spirit, and community. And whereas striving for zero, California's strategic plan for suicide prevention urges all Californians to play a role in suicide prevention and promoting health and wellness. And whereas the benefits of preventing and overcoming mental health challenges, suicide attempts and loss, and substance abuse are significant and valuable to individuals, families, and our community at large. And whereas it is essential that we educate residents about suicide, mental health, and substance abuse problems and the ways they affect all people in the community. And whereas we must encourage relatives, friends, co-workers, and providers to recognize the signs of a problem and guide those in need to appropriate services and support. And whereas Suicide Awareness Month inspires millions of Americans to raise awareness, build resiliency, and find hope. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on September 13th, 2022, the Governing Board of Palm Springs Unified School District proclaims the month of September as Suicide Awareness Month. We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Can we get a all in favor?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That proclamation and motion passes. Thank you all very much. Next up is item 14. This is the superintendent's consent items. We will vote on items 14A through 14E in one motion unless somebody would like one item pulled for discussion. Okay. Can we get a motion to approve item 14?
I move for approval.
Thank you. We have a motion. How about a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. Item 15 is the board consent items. 15A is approval of meeting minutes from August 23rd, 2022. Can we get a motion to approve that item?
Move for approval?
We have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 16 is an information item. 16A, with submission of the early Head Start reports per requirements for the Head Start Act for June and July 2022. The board has received and reviewed this information item. Item 17 is suggestions for future agendas. Anything you guys? No? Okay, good. Our next board meeting will be on September 27th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Any last, anything else for the good of the order?
Thank you to Dr. Kovac and all of her team for the hard work for our presentation this evening, our study session. It's a learning process, and we're helping each other, I think, understand where we are and where we can grow. Thank you again.
All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Move for approval?
All in favor?
Aye.
We need a second, I'm sorry.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.